Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. It's Theresa here. Today I have a layout for you for the Clique Kits creative team, and so I'm working with the Heidi Swapp Sunchaser collection, and this is the Sunchaser Kit, and I will have links to this kit down below. You can still purchase it in the Clique Kit shop, and I hope that you'll stop by and grab this beautiful collection if you haven't already. And so I'm going to just sort of walk you briefly through some of the items in the kit. There are a couple of pattern papers, a pack of stunning ephemera jam-packed with die cuts and word art, a couple of tags with vellum pockets, a pack of transparency hearts from Studio Calico. There's also a title pack, a puffy title pack from Heidi Swapp, a alphabet set from Obed Marshall, and also a pack of word strips from Heidi Swapp, and also a pack of puffy stickers from Studio Calico. So all the things you need for a beautiful layout, and that's what I'm going to do today. And you can see here some of the pattern papers. I'm just flipping through them to try to make the decision about which one I want to start with and where I want to cut into. The story that I'm documenting is a September day back in 2013, and our children, I'm guessing, were about 10 to 5, 10 to 6. Wow. And so we were at the top of Mount Mitchell, which is the highest peak in North Carolina, and just enjoying a late summer afternoon. I don't know about you guys, we're here in North Carolina, and so fall comes late, and that means we have long, pleasant days at the end of summer before fall hits. And so this was definitely one of those days. And what I decided to do here, this is the paper that I'm cutting into, is called Splendid, and it had these beautiful sort of watercolor lines that blend into each other. Heidi did them vertical, but I'm going to flip them sideways. And I think that once I cut them apart, it gave the opportunity. What I have in my mind is to have a little bit of white space showing in between some of these beautiful colors. So I'm going to just pull out some of the ones that weren't my favorites necessarily, although I have to say that they really are all my favorites. But mainly I wanted to leave some white space in between these beautiful colorful stripes. And so that's going to be my background. And then I have a lovely little spot for my photos. I printed the photos. They're about 3.5 inches wide by 2 something, I don't know. And then now I have to decide what kind of paper do I want to mount this entire layout onto. So I just grabbed a bit of plain white basil cardstock. I think it's marshmallow, just so that I keep on hand. And I'm not going to do anything to prep this cardstock. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And it kind of creates, it emphasizes these sort of casual lines created by this pattern paper. And it creates a little bit of a break in between each color. And I'm also thinking about how to incorporate these lines into my design. And I've done some pages similar to this in the past. You could stamp In between these lines, you could sew. In between these lines, you can add embellishments. It's just a couple of different ways that you can use a background pattern like this and turn it into something that's just your own, that nobody else has. And by the way, you can do this with plain stripe pattern papers. You can do this with rainbow pattern papers, sunburst pattern papers, anything you want. So I've got these all cut apart. They're adhered to the page. And I'm going to just pull up the top edges of each of the stripes. And I'm just doing that using my fingers, being careful not to get a paper cut or whatever. And that sets that background. Isn't that pretty? I just thought that was gorgeous. And then what I thought I would do is color coordinate. And so there's very obvious teal at the top, a lighter kind of blue-green, yellow, fading into orange, fading into pink, and then a darker maroon at the bottom. And so some of these words in the title, in the puffy title pack, were coordinated with these colors. So I'm trying to see if I can figure out how to have a puffy title word or a puffy word on top of the same color on the layout. And so that's really here what I'm trying to figure out. And notice how everything that I'm laying it down really late so that I can so that I can still move things around a little bit, because I don't really have a clear picture in my mind of what I'm going to do beyond this point. I'm just kind of playing by ear and also playing a little bit by intuition and just how things feel once I put them in place. I'm also going to adhere my photos down. I'm just using a bit of foam tape, and that way they'll pop up a little bit off of that background, and that will allow you to tuck in some of the embellishments and things around the photos themselves. And so then back to these words here, these title words. I'm mildly obsessed with them. Some of them are gradient, so they go from one color to the next, which is really pretty. I found that they were gradient vertically, not horizontally, and the pattern paper is more obviously gradient top to bottom, because originally it was vertical. And so if you used this pattern paper as it was originally intended vertically, then you could use the more gradient titles. I hope I'm making sense. You could use them to go color on color. That didn't quite work out for me for this page, but I think that's okay. In fact, it really is okay. And so then I thought, well, how do I bring all these elements together? I've got 2 photos. I've got 4 random words here on the page, and so I thought I might do use these alphabet stickers from Obed Marshall to fill in order to create a working title. And that's what I started doing here, but I decided that it didn't really fit in. These alphabets are really cute and they're absolutely adorable and I love them, but they don't really go with the feel of what I'm trying to create here on this page. So I thought about it. I tried a couple of different options, but in the end I'm going to scratch that. But I did leave it as a part of the process so that you could see here sort of how this goes. And at this point, I'm kind of not really sure what I'm going to do. And again, though, making a point to include that in the process video because I want you to feel comfortable pulling things up yourself and trying something different, pulling it back up, figuring out that it works or it doesn't work, start all over again if you have to, that's okay, and that's all actually part of the process, even for those of us who record and share our content regularly here with you. So at this stage, I'm still not really sure how I'm going to go, but I decided to ditch this little alphabet stickers, and I stepped away from it for a while and came back and figured out, okay, this is what I'm going to do. After all of that, I'm going to switch up the play and the explore, because the play word or the explore word felt like it was kind of squished in there beside the photos. And then I'm also going to position them so that they just tuck slightly underneath the distressed edge of the stripes. And these are actually going to become home bases for the embellishment clusters. And I'm going to tuck the embellishments underneath those little distressed edges as well. I also plan to use some of those word strips as well. So at this point, humor me while I pull out all of the embellishments. And this is opportunity for you to see how amazing this embellishment pack really is. There's just so much in there. I feel like I could do 5 more layouts with these embellishments. But that being said, I did use quite a few of them here, as you'll be able to see from the completed layout. And so what I'm going to do, though, is keep them color on color, just like I did with the words for the most part. Color on color. And so I'm sort of sorting things by where they fit in on the page. So all the green with the greens, the yellow with the yellow, the orange with the orange, and keep the layout organized that way in rainbow order. That's nothing new under the sun. It's a very fun way to organize your layouts. Very catchy, and it also just helps to lead your eye, because it's a funny thing about a rainbow. When we see a rainbow, our eye automatically knows what to do. One, we're going left to right or right to left, depending on how we see the rainbow first. We're looking for that arched shape because it's so familiar to us. And we're also at the same time taking in the stacks of color and the gradient color from red, orange, yellow, green to blue. So there's 2 ways to take in the information that's shared on this page. Just a little design speak for you to kind of explain why this made sense to me and why visually this layout will make sense after it's done, even though it's been a fun process and it stretched me creatively to get to this place. It's been worth it, and I'm glad for all the picking up and putting back down. Picking up, putting back down. You're allowed to do that too. And so you can see here I'm starting to adhere these clusters, and I like this idea of having an element that creates a home base for embellishments on the page, and that's what those puffy title words do. They create the start of the embellishment cluster, and then these embellishments fill out this page really nicely, especially if you're kind of like me. I'm a self-confessed maximalist. I love to put down all the things. I love to include all the things on my pages, and that's exactly what is happening here. And for the most part, I think what happens is the photos ground everything, and everything sort of cascades from there. So you'll see here how I'm just tucking a couple of those little tags at the top of the photo and keeping that embellishment cluster moving around the photo, and the embellishment clusters at the top also sort of, they challenge you because our habit is to move from left to right. But for this layout, your eye is probably going to move more right to left. And those gentle stripes that we use to create the background lead your eye to do just that. You could, of course, still do this layout using that background paper vertically if you wanted to, and you could absolutely still tuck those embellishments in sideways if you wanted to. And I always try just to give you some different options and different choices when I'm sharing my layouts like this, so that it will hopefully spark some inspiration for you, even if you don't want to do it exactly like I've done it. So I encourage you to just kind of travel that path and try different options for yourself. You'll notice that I trimmed one of the journaling tags and just tucked the bottom half of it underneath the main photo here. And then I've pulled out those word strips. Those are excellent. Every collection needs a good set of word strips, in my humble opinion. These sort of, just a hint, if you're not a fan of stamping, word strips will do it for you. And I always see these as an extension of the journaling on the page. And so there were certain feelings and emotions that I wanted to convey through this page. And one is just the feelings of seeing the kids together and how the emotions that evokes for me, especially with them being so little. They're now 19 to 15. And so, yeah, this was 9 years ago. And, but I wanted to invoke that sentimentality. And so all of the words that I used, bring that in. Some of the examples are, I want to remember this, having a blast, feeling all the vibes, sunshine on my mind. It was so bright that day. The fall sun. Anybody else in the Northern Hemisphere love it when the fall lighting moves in and the sun sort of moves to a different position and it changes the whole world. And that was sort of what I was trying to get. You can see the shadows on Nick's face in the photo by himself there. And I just love that. So I'm going to go ahead here and jot down my thoughts here, a bit about where we are, so that can be easily identified later on, especially for them. They probably would look at that and go, I don't really remember that. Where even were we? So now they know. And then I'm going to add the date here. And this is an old stamp I've had for a long time. I think it was from One Canoe too, and it has a little space across the bottom for journaling, but I stamped that off the page. And so I don't know why I let that go off the page. That was just to be different, I guess. And then I'm going to add a little word strip to that as well. And I'm just continuing to the end of the layout, just continuing to fill in here, adding all the stickers. I loved that there were 2 puffy packs in this kit. And so if you love puffy stickers, that's a lot of choices and a lot of options for you. And so that's exactly what I did, just adding hearts and stars wherever I can find a little spot. I love that. It's like the chef's kiss. Just filling in a little bit, checking to see where there are empty spots, and I don't know, using up some of these adorable products. And so I hope that you will check out the Clique Kits blog. This layout will be shared on the Clique Kits blog, and I will also have more detailed images and still photos on my own blog as well. Both of those blog posts will be linked for you down below so that you can go check it out, of course, with product links, so that you can go and purchase this kit. Especially if you haven't purchased Sunchaser yet, I think it definitely is a must-have collection, and this will allow you to get it in one fell swoop. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.